Hi guys. When we look at the homeless asking for alms in the street, we think that these are unhappy people who have not a dime behind their souls. Did you know that ordinary street beggars live better than some oligarchs? We will prove to you now. Watch to the end. Babu Kumar, a 33-year-old resident of Patna in the Indian state of Bihar, made a considerable fortune by begging on the streets of the city. He has $7,500 in several accounts, and in addition, he owns property, including several apartments, for a total of $185,000. It got to the point that he began to lend money to local businessmen. It would seem that he has everything in order to change his life, but he continues to engage in his craft. Life did not prepare Pap to be a beggar. He successfully graduated from school and was preparing to enter an engineering college. But after a tragic incident, he remained partially paralyzed. To top it all off, shortly after this incident, his father died, and the rest of the family abandoned him. Papa had no choice but to beg for the streets of his hometown. I passed the math by 72 points. My dream to become an engineer could come true if it were for this unfortunate incident. My father died and the rest abandoned me. I had no choice but to become a beggar. Papa shares his story. He began to live at the railway station, where he asked for alms for 7 years, and at the same time, very successfully. His paralysis can pity many. But last year, the police began to persuade Papa in the most insistent way from his place of residence. The police learned about the state of his bank accounts, as well as his property, 2 sections of 2,000 square feet. They also learned that the poor loaned to local merchants and entrepreneurs. They drove him out of the station twice, advising him to undergo surgery, relieve himself of paralysis, and begin to live a full life, but Babu still returned. Simon Wright, a scammer and beggar who has recently become famous throughout the UK. For several years, he pretended to be a homeless beggar, begging alms from passers-by. But in the end, it turned out that Wright earned his dubious craft from £200 to £300 a day and lived in an apartment for £300,000 in an excellent area. Until recently, Simon Wright spent his days sitting on the sidewalk next to the National Westminster Bank branch on Putney High Street, hugging his dog in a sleeping bag. However, passers-by giving alms to the poor, homeless, and tattered rags did not know that he earns more than £50,000 a year and lives in a very good municipal apartment in West London. Wright chooses his victims among those who cashed money at ATMs and behaved extremely aggressively and insultingly if he was not given money. Some served him only because they were afraid, since Wright was not shy about setting his dog on passers-by. At the end of each day, Wright picked up his cardboard with a request for help and returned home to Fulham, and locals confirmed that Wright was a regular guest of bookmakers, slot machines, and shops, where he exchanged a voiced coin for a pleasantly rustling pieces of paper. Suspicions about Wright arose in December 2012 when local residents suggested that he was not the one that he claims to be. As a result, the magistrate forbade him to visit Roehampton and Putney, as well as to wrestle anywhere in the British capital. In addition, a magistrate court ordered Wright to put a muzzle on his dog and to keep it under control in public places, as it bit at least one person. Beggar Millionaire. An elderly, poorly dressed woman appeared daily at a train station in China, asking passerby for money for food. In response to questions about how she ended up on the street, the beggar tells a heart-rending story, flattering the narrative with many details and facts. The station staff turned a blind eye to a woman asking for alms and then decided to attach her to one of the nursing homes. And then the story took a very unusual turn. It turned out that the lady who comes to the station every morning to beg is actually a real millionaire. The 79-year-old beggar actually lives happily ever after, owns a huge villa, several shops, and a very solid bank account. In addition, the woman has children who are also very successful in life. Begging is just a hobby of a strange old woman who she is not going to refuse, despite the entreaties of the children. Relatives ask a woman to come up with a less shocking lesson, to think about the reputation of the family. But no argument can keep her at home. Every morning, the millionaire beggar woman leaves the house and goes to the station to ask for alms. For a day, on average, she manages to collect a very good amount. The money itself does not matter to the Chinese woman. After work, she gives everything she collects in a day to other poor people. A woman is interested in the very process of begging, the opportunity to feel like a different person with her own fate. And by the way, no mental abnormalities were revealed in the lady. Fatima Othman. When there was a civil war in Lebanon, Othman suffered serious injuries and became disabled. A woman began begging for more than 20 years in the streets of Beirut. Fatima became a local celebrity after photographs spread across the internet, showing a soldier feeding and watering Fatima from his hands. Homeless woman from Beirut died at the age of 52. Passerby noticed her in a car parked on the street and called an ambulance. Doctors stated death from a heart attack. Many local residents were upset. They knew the woman well because she was on the street every day. The neighbors said Fatima has relatives who still have not made themselves felt. To find them and give them the body, the police decided to rummage through the things of the homeless. A shock awaited them. Among the old rags, they found documents and a wad of money, 5 million Lebanese pounds. In dollars, it's almost 3,500. But then an even more amazing find awaited them: bank statements. According to these papers, Fatima Othman kept in her account 1.7 billion pounds in local currency. That is approximately 1,120,000 American dollars. Interviewed neighbors said they could not even think that Fatima is so rich. She was always in the same dressing gown, took alms with food, slept where necessary. The police found the relatives of the woman. It turned out that she came from the small town of al-Zahab in the north of the country. Relatives came to Beirut for identification and also stated that they had no idea where Fatima got the money. Swedish millionaire. An unusual beggar was detained in the Swedish city of Uppsala. Police detained a beggar asking for alms in the streets of Uppsala. The reason for the detention was the aggressive behavior of the unknown. If passerby refused to give him money, the beggar began to threaten them in every possible way. According to the chief of the local police, during a search of the jacket and pockets of the beggar, bundles of banknotes began to fall out. They all fell out and fell out. I've never seen so much money in such a situation, said Chief Holly Poliveris. A total of 6 million kroons, almost US $750,000, was found in the detainee's pockets. The Swedish was arrested on suspicion of money laundering. Anyone walking around with such an amount in his pocket can be suspected of committing a crime, the police said. Jean-Marie Regal. Jean-Marie Regal, homeless man asking for alms in the street of Paris, became a celebrity by writing a bestseller about his life. Jean-Marie lived on the streets for 25 years, earning an average of 80 euros per day, which was enough for food and overnight. When he was proud that Jean-Paul Belmondo himself once gave him 10 euros, now after selling 400 copies of his memoirs, My Life as a Beggar, the former beggar became a frequent guest on television. An accidental acquaintance grew into friendship, completely turned the life of a tramp. Once a random passerby asked Raphael to look after his bicycle while he was going shopping. This passerby was the former Minister of Interior of France, Jean-Louis Debrau. It was he who helped Regal to publish the book. It sounds incredible. Now that Jean-Marie is a celebrity, fans love his book and asks for an autograph, and tramps from all over the area express their gratitude to him because this story has helped many people change their attitude towards the poor. Thanks to the book, Jean-Marie reunited with his brother, with whom he lost touch because he was ashamed of having fallen so low. Success also gave him hope that he could realize his long-standing dream of opening his own pancake. Agree, such stories gives hope that in the world there are still worthy people. Ted Williams. Recently, Ted Williams from Columbus, Ohio, was an unknown homeless man who asked for alms on the side of the road. But now the whole world knows him. He gives out one interview after another and makes good money. Since 1993, Ted Williams sometimes hung around the streets of Columbus, then slept in shelters for the homeless, received a gift of fate in the form of incredible and rapid success at the very beginning of 2011. The chance to start life again was provided by Doral Chenové, a correspondent for the local newspaper, the Columbus Dispatch. The journalist saw a beggar on the side of the road with a sign saying, "I have a God-given gift of voice. I am an ex-radio announcer who has fallen on hard times. Please. Any help will be gratefully appreciated. Thank you and God bless you. Happy holiday." And decided to throw a homeless dollar. True, for this money, Ted Williams had to demonstrate his talent. That is, say something and let Chenevert make sure that the gift of God is really available. For a modest amount, Williams, with a happy smile on his lips, temporarily turned into an announcer and made a few sentences.
Say something with that great radio voice.
When you're listening to nothing but the best of oldies, you're listening to Magic 98.9. Thank you so much. God bless you. Thank you. And we'll be back with more right after these words. And don't forget, tomorrow morning is your chance to win a pair of tickets to see this man live in concert.
The journalist recorded the performance of a homeless person on video, which soon became a hit on YouTube, a service that granted more than a dozen people worldwide fame. In a word, no matter how trite it sounds, the next morning Ted Williams woke up famous. How his future fate will turn out is not known, but it can already be said that the case of Ted Williams will go down in history forever as the best illustration of the expression, "Everything in life is possible." As you understand from this release, life is an amazing thing and not always clear. We wish you to always remain vigilant, but not lose faith in people. Well, in the comments, write how much was the largest amount that you gave the homeless. For example, I went to the store once and bought food for a homeless person, which he began to threaten me because he probably just needed money for hangover. This video ends here. We hope you enjoyed it. To see many other things worth knowing, subscribe and like this video. Thanks a lot.